Hello, everyone. So, as we know, the situation in Ireland, particularly when it comes to housing, when it comes to other stuff too, but particularly housing, particularly for young people coming out of college, coming out of secondary school, years ago it was possible to get somewhere. We all know the story, but unfortunately nowadays it's nearly impossible. Even if you had a full time job, you worked even 4 or 5 jobs. In some cases, young people working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And of course, that's no life for anybody. And unfortunately, particularly now, we're seeing particularly young people coming out of college when they have a degree, etc. They do all the hard work to get a degree. As soon as they come out, there's no jobs for them, and unfortunately, the cycle repeats that they have to go to Australia, to New Zealand, to other countries, and basically half of Australia is basically Ireland at the moment, the health services, etc. And a lot of these people, there was a poll done recently that the majority of these people, if they were given an opportunity, if they were given some kind of way to have a life in Ireland, a house, or even just something to come back to. They would come back in no bother. They would come back in a moment's notice. But unfortunately, the sad reality is there's nothing offered to them because the Irish government doesn't really care about them. Has forgotten about them. They'd rather bring in everybody else but an Irish person. But long story short, and this is just a simple thing, that we need to encourage young people, and it's good. We have to encourage them to stay here. I'm a young person. I had a job offer to go to Finland to go and study in Finland under a European student thing, and I could have probably got a job out of it. But this is the thing: I have a duty, and again, they say this to every young Irish person. I wouldn't think of yourself. I know, put yourself first. Of course, the government are not going to do it. Nobody else is going to put yourself first. Nobody else is going to care about you. But at the same time, too, as an Irish person, as an Irish man, an Irish woman, you have a duty to your country, to stand up for your country, to fight for your country. And unfortunately, that is happening now, that we have to stand up and fight for our country. And what I mean by that is our politicians are taking our country, are seizing our means of our country and giving it away, taking it away from the Irish people for other people to use, not the Irish people to use. And of course, going and leaving is not helping the situation, and I might be honest with you. So that's why I decided to stay, and I'm not going to go anywhere. Suppose that I'm going to stay here until, to the end if necessary. But I say this to young people: we need you here, and suppose that we need you here. We need as many Irish people here as possible to stand up to this regime, to stand up to this evil that we see in our country, from our politicians, from our NGOs, from our civil servants that wish to destroy this country. There's no doubt about it. They wish to destroy the very foundation, the very soul of this country. And unfortunately, the way they're doing that, and the force we had, is giving young people no hope, making sure they own nothing to be happy about it. What I mean by that is, we see this straight away. They're trying to degrade young people. They're trying to get rid of the spirit of resistance. They're trying to get rid of the spirit of young people of hope for the future. They're trying to dumb down people to say, you live in a garden shed. That's pretty much the point we're at in Ireland. They're saying, here you go, here's a garden shed. Enjoy that for the next 80 years. So, and I say to young people, and I know it's tough. I know, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not tough. It's definitely tough. It's not. Years ago, things were easier. Nowadays, it's just fucking ridiculous. But we need to keep every young Irish person here, and I say that to them, every Irish woman and every Irish man, because we need them, and unfortunately we need them in this country, to stand up for this country, because unfortunately the people that are coming into this country, they have no identity to this country. My great-grandmother was in Commissioner Mon, the Irish Women's Army. She fought for the very soul of this country, fought for the very independence that we have at the moment, and so many people gave their lives in the service of that. And to throw it all away, it would be senseless, and it would be a disgrace, a stain on our reputation, a stain on our history, to give up on our country. And I say to young Irish people particularly, don't give up on your country. Your country might give up on you, but don't you give up on your country, because deep down we still have that spirit of not to give up. For 800 years we could have threw in the towel and said, fuck it, what's the point in fighting for our own sovereignty, our own independence, our own identity? Them men and women didn't give up. They didn't give up. They always fought for Irish independence, always fought for Irish sovereignty. They never give up. They never give in. They didn't care about money. They didn't care about anything. They always never gave up on their country, even though your country may give up on you. And it's a terrible thing to say in an Irish free state, supposed to be the Irish free state, the Irish Republic, to say that your country is given up on you. And unfortunately, that's the reality. The country has given up on a lot of its young people. Unless they're pro-regime, etc. That's the only time they might not give up on you. It depends on your nationality too. But I say to you not to give up on your country. Your state might abandon you, but don't give up on the ideas that the people of this nation had to fight for. That they had to fight for blood, sweat and tears. it just didn't happen overnight. It took hundreds of years to achieve freedom. The 1916 Rising led into the War of Independence, and not even before that, the many rebellions over the hundreds of years, the famine, etc. We're better than this. We have a history to fight for, we have a culture to fight for, we have a nation to fight for. What I mean by that is we're not finished yet, and we should never be finished. And as simple as that. And I say this to young people: please do consider staying. To any young person that's considering emigrating to Australia, your country should always come first. I could have went off, got a job, a big civil service job, got thousands of euro handed to me if I kept there, sat down and shut my mouth. But unfortunately, I want to keep the Irish Republic alive. I don't agree with a backwards looking idea of sovereignty. I don't agree with that narrative of Micheál Martin. I agree with I agree that we need sovereignty, that we need independence, that we need to be independent. But I don't agree with a backwards looking idea of sovereignty. As Micheál Martin, this is the Taoiseach, just to say, the modern day Taoiseach, supposed to be the chieftain, some chieftain. But yeah, long story short, I do say to you to keep fighting for Ireland, because this country needs us. This country needs us, because unfortunately it will be left to our children, and unfortunately it's getting worse. Every day, every week, it's getting worse. And I say this to young people, it is, unfortunately. But anyway, let me know what you think. And I say to people, I understand, and I don't want to sound like I'm cruel and hardship here, but I do understand. People need to look after themselves, look after the family, look after the woman and the children, etc. I understand that. Don't think I'm sitting here and saying, no, I don't understand that. I do understand it. And particularly when you're young and stuff, you have to look after yourself. I understand that. But above all else, I think, we're here to do a duty too, particularly as an Irish people. Our grandfathers had to fight very hard for the very independence that we have at the moment. And unfortunately, that has been undermined within. We're not even outside, within it's been undermined. And of course, our people have been robbed and been stolen. Things have been stolen, their livelihoods, the whole future, the whole ideas of that revolution, the Irish Free State, the 1916 Rising, has been robbed from the people, unfortunately. That's the simple reality. Anyway, let me know what you think. It's worth more. Bye.